let's talk about the first topic today, because I know that's what you guys are here to talk about. It has to do
They're
with
already doing it in moments.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, let's
exactly.
talk about straws. What's the big straw debate?
Okay, they are plastic. There are a lot
Ooh,
of
we
them,
got
and it
music.
contributes to this massive pile of garbage that we have in the middle of the ocean. Well, a California assemblyman, Ian, remind me of his last name. Calderon. Ian Calderon. He put forward a bill last week saying that at sit-down eating establishments, if you want a straw, you're going to have to ask for a straw, because if the serviceman or woman gives you one without you asking for it, in the verbiage of this bill, it says that that person could be fined up to $1,000.
If you turn them in? Because how will one ever know?
If you turn them in,
Okay,
yes.
Which would be a jerk
Or
move.
they could be put in jail for 6 months. 6 months is a long time. So social media is going crazy over this. But what's interesting is that Rob checked Ian's Twitter page, and he has been commenting on all of the drama that's been going on. So fill us in on that.
Okay, I love this story so much because it's sort of it's like the flow chart of our lives these days. These days with social media and things you learn about through either Twitter or Facebook and all that, which is you get the headline, but you don't get the story.
Always.
And we react to the headline. How many times have you seen that in your friend's Facebook feed? They've got some headline, and you're like, oh, and you get in there, and you're going crazy, and then farther down, someone says, wait a second, that's not exactly what it was, or there's more to it, and all that. And I feel like this specific thing is exactly that. So this is the bigger picture of the story. And you can still, I feel like there's still a lot of room for debate on this, even knowing what we know now about
trending
the extra
right now,
details.
so I'm sure all these details are coming forward.
The reason why it's trending, number one, people outside of California love to ridicule anything that California tries to do.
Of course.
With various, and it's perfectly understandable. You know, this state takes chances on all sorts of different things like plastic bag bans, bans on shows involving orcas. I mean, there's a whole bunch of
lifting bans on marijuana.
Exactly. California just kind of, I mean, we experiment.
Progressive.
Exactly. So it draws a lot of national attention for various things. So then the headline is this. Here we go again. Really, you're going to send a server to jail for giving someone a plastic straw? Are you serious?
Right.
Now we know more to the story. So the gentleman that wrote this,
Ian Calderon,
he said, no. To get this in, he had to put it in a specific kind of bill that then equates to this would be subject to these penalties and fines of this type of health code.
Right.
Which would be your 6 months in prison, $1,000 thing. Just to get it in there. Then it goes to committee and assembly and all these other legislative things that I don't really know about, to be honest with you. But basically, just because you propose a bill does not mean that that's the end of it.
Well, no,
it has to go
the process
through all
of being
these
passed
steps.
is a lot, right?
Even in California, where it's mostly Democrat, there's still debate all these things before it actually gets approved and then ultimately signed by the governor or vetoed. So this is just the beginning step. And he's very adamant on Twitter about trying to explain all of these things and taking people head on with all of their complaints. So what he's saying is no one's going to jail over this. There will not be heavy fines involved in all this. This will all be changed to something more reasonable. And what I'm trying to do with this bill is just to raise awareness. So I think it'll be something that maybe if it does get passed, it'll be one of these things that has almost no teeth at all. What's really going to happen? A verbal reprimand, some sort of, a $25 fine to the restaurant. I mean, who really knows, honestly? But his whole concern is that, look, in the United States, we use and throw away, usually within the same day, 500 million of these plastic little straws that you can't really recycle. They fall through the cracks. You rarely ever use them more than once, although you could. Who's saving their straws, honestly?
Not many people, except for this little one right
here. And a lot of the time, they just kind of show up on your table. Here's your water, here's your straw in a paper wrapping.
Right.
And you drink the water because you don't care about the straw, or maybe you use it and then you throw it away. So it's one of these things that these are kind of the low-hanging fruit with the whole plastics issue in general and the ocean and things like that. So first it was plastic bags. You literally use a plastic bag for many people to take an item from the store to your car into your house, and then you throw it away.
It's become a habit for me now. I just carry these same 3 plastic bags, or maybe they're cloth bags, in my car. It's a lifestyle change, but
That changed for me when I moved to California.
I
You guys
hate that
all
one.
carry bags, and they charge you for plastic bags
Right.
if you didn't bring them.
10
So
cents.
I'm like you. I have like 7 grocery bags, not in my car, but in
Right.
my
Yeah.
apartment.
Which I don't think is a bad thing, but nowhere in there in that
Right.
bill when it was passed did it say that one would go to jail, right?
Right.
No.
But
That's
it's
where
not-
people
that's
have
not
an
gonna be the
issue.
case. But let me tell you something. I'm going to actually take an opinion on this as more than a weather guy.
Like that.
I grew up surfing and skiing. Okay, so basically everything revolves around just where I spent all my time and sort of what formed my experience in the world.
Sure.
And I cannot tell you how many times I was out surfing in the water, and you look down and you go, "Oh no, it's a jellyfish," and it's just a plastic bag.
Yep.
And so we all do that. As surfers, you understand. You pick it up and you wad it up and you put it in your wetsuit because you're going to take it in. Because the whole rule, at least with me and my friends, was anything you see, plastic stuff on the beach, you pick it up and you
Clean
throw
it
it away
away.
as you're walking from the ocean out. So either you grabbed it in the ocean or whatever. You just do that
And
because
that's nice.
yeah.
But honestly,
I know most people don't do it,
That's
and
an
there
awesome
are-
part of the culture, though. I like
but that's where all this plastic ends up.
But there are 5 trillion pieces of
Right.
garbage, plastic garbage in the ocean.
Right.
There's an entire section of the ocean. It's called the North Pacific
the
Gate.
garbage patch.
That too.
And the-
and it's between America and Asia, and everything circulates. And in that area, there is more trash in there than a number of our states combined. There's more trash there than a number of countries combined.
Yeah, it's an absolute problem.
One person picking up the garbage isn't going to help, but everyone thinking about how plastic breaks up into microplastic and then can filter into the fish that we eat, can filter into the water stream, and what that does to us as humans, and even studies that have been done on seals and how microplastic has affected their reproductive systems and their breathing, that can affect us. And if we are able to make small changes like not using plastic straws or getting rid of plastic bags, that's one step in the right direction.
So what was your opinion?
My opinion is I don't think that this is a bad idea. And I'll go back to I was surrounded by plastic bags. Drive on the highway, look on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Usually these small plastic bags that were used one time and then thrown away or they fly away or whatever. So it's just one of these things that you don't think about because everything plastic that is created lives basically indefinitely. It can't be, when you think of recycling, like a plastic bottle, it can be melted down and formed into something else. Sure. Plastic can only be made and then broken down into smaller plastic pieces. It's not like when you recycle your plastic bag, it gets molded into something else that's still plastic. So, and there's not, I mean, we all use it. So
Right.
I'm not going to sit here on my high horse and say this is all bad. I'm a consumer. I'm an American, meaning I consume probably more than anybody else in the world, this kind of stuff. All I'm saying is that I started using less plastic bags voluntarily to see if I could do it. It was a challenge. Tried to use less than 50 in a year. I barely made it. The next year was 25 or less. Barely made it.
Wow.
Really?
Bag ban goes through. Now, I pulled in 40 million other people into this
Right.
plastic bag challenge to try and use it. There's no real good use, positive use, for using a plastic straw one time and throwing it
agreed.
away. And I would say probably, and I don't know the research on this, my hunch is that many of the plastic straws brought to a table in that environment are not used at all. They're just simply because the busser grabs everything and
Right.
throws it away.
Yeah.
So I don't see anything wrong with this
Neither.
because here's the other thing.
The penalty
we
if-
ultimately are paying for this down the road. But
Correct.
it's one of these situations where it is so abstract and difficult to conceptualize in the moment that what does my straw have to do with all of this? It comes back to you eventually. It
Now-
really does.
Ellie agrees with you on this one. She said, seriously, let's worry about the bigger items here. This is so crazy. The plastic bag thing, yes, that's nuts. But let's try worrying about human life and teach our babies on upward how to deal with plastic. That's what we're saying. You have to teach people to be responsible, and maybe plastic isn't the best option. There are tons of people in here saying, you can get biodegradable straws. Why don't you use those? If you have lots of children, like Kim was commenting on here. She's always in our comments.
Yeah.
She has tons of kids, and they bite through plastic straws like these too. Wasteful. Try something new.
Yeah,
Well,
and this is not easy, and it takes things like this. It seems like it's either, if you're a hardcore environmentalist, you're thinking this is not enough, it needs to be a ban for
Right.
all of this. And then if you're saying, here we go again, fines,
Government taking over, telling us how to
telling us how to live our life. It's my choice, all this stuff. And that's perfectly understandable because it's like, really, now you're going to tell me what straw I can use?
Right.
Is that not understandable that is encroaching on how you want to live your life and someone's telling you what to do?
Paula McCluskey, and I say this really quick, with all the problems California has, all they can seem to focus on is a straw.
Okay. And to that argument, I would say, the world is very complicated. You can do more than one thing at a time. You can focus on straws. You can focus on the benefits or the detriments of a gas tax. You can do all of this at the same time. Why not? We're smart people. Can't we? In addition to everything else going on in California, this straw thing seems kind of like a really dumb thing. Why not? If you want a straw, you can get it.
Right. It's already happening in Davis and San Luis Obispo. They've already passed these regulations.
Right.
People are not losing their minds over it over there. So why can't everyone just agree?
Well, people, again, are freaking out with the way in which it's worded, too. You're talking about the grabbing headline is that if a server gives a straw to a group of people, right, unwillingly, they didn't ask for it, they could, if they're turned in, someone tells them, they could face jail time. So people are like, really? A straw in jail? So I understand that. But again, just to recap, there are some differences to this, right? That's how it came out.
Right. And I just view this in a different way. I just do. And my whole perspective on this particular thing is, please explain to me the benefit of it. Like, you have to prove why it is beneficial that you get a straw, whether you use it or not.
Well,
every
I'll
time at
say,
a restaurant.
when I go to the
burden
restaurant,
is not on me to defend everything going on in California.
Right.
The burden is on you to prove to me that it is a worthwhile thing to always be brought a straw, whether you ask for it or not, whether you use it or not, indefinitely, in perpetuity.
I always ask for a straw.
With everything that happens after the lifetime of that straw that you use it.
Right, and I'm willing
You need to prove to me that that's worth it.
As someone who uses a straw all the time when I go to a restaurant, I just have this weird thing about getting the cups, and then, like, I was a server for years, so I know what happens, the life of that cup, and where it's dipped into, and what's going on. It's clean in the end, but I've seen the lifespan of it. So whenever we go to a restaurant, can I have a straw, please? And I always do have to ask in recent years for a straw. They don't put them out in any restaurant I go to these days. So I think there's
about it.
So get this, the beauty of this, the way that it's worded, you use a straw, you want to use a straw, you got to use a straw.
If I ask for it, they can bring it and everything's fine.
So
it's if I give it to you and you didn't ask for it.
Right, so now here's the government saying, go, you do whatever you want.
But who is going to penalize these servers, really?
An environmentalist who sits down and goes, I didn't ask for these.
But that's the thing. It's like, I guarantee once this moves through, it'll probably be dead because it's the headline. I mean, trust me, there are people that, it's very important to misinterpret this headline. So this will probably be dead this time around. The plastic bag ban went through, I don't even know how many times. It was ultimately voted through and then had to go back for a whole other round of everything. But anyway, but the point is that if you use a straw, you got to use a straw. If you're a server and let's just say you accidentally bring it and whatever, they'll probably at the end of the day, if it goes through, will not be real teeth to this. It's not about This is not about punishing people using straws. It is not about punishing servers who make a mistake.
Right.
It may be designed to punish a very rare percentage of servers that know what it is but don't care.
Right.
And they love to give you a straw whether you use it or not. I feel like that percentage would be very low.
Yes.
So, he's just trying to raise awareness.
And I get that because we're talking about that now.
Yeah,
and I think going back to my serving day is when I don't ever remember in training, I worked for Islands. I never remember them saying this was again back in, 2006 up until 2010 or so. They never said don't drop off straws, but I remember if I were to go to a table and I would pre-bus it right before the bussers would come, and I would pick up straws that people didn't use, but I'm not going to go put them back into the straw canister for another server. Yeah, so I would always throw them away, which is the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
So as long as we're being taught this and then we care enough to try to change it as servers, I say we still, 'cause I still feel like I'm a server. I loved being a server. I think this is a good conversation to be having. So I don't think I'm with you, Rob.
So awareness is really important. Back in the day, you change your motor oil. What are we going to do with this? I don't even. There's nowhere to go. You dumped it in the drain.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's what happened until Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and
Started
environmental people put the little things, please don't pour this down. This goes to the ocean where I live with little fish things. You could, I mean, there was probably a grace period where people still did it, even seeing that. But now we know, like, it starts with that, and then it ultimately.
Just don't do that.
Do you really want motor oil going down to the beach?
No.
Probably not. But you probably didn't realize in the moment it's all connected. I think it's the same thing with these straws. You don't realize that they brought it to me. I didn't use it. It goes in the trash. Ultimately, a lot of this stuff ends up in the ocean, where it's never truly gone. It just exists in smaller pieces.
So what Megan and I were talking about earlier on the Morning Blend was the LA Times did an editorial piece on this topic and brought up a very funny side to the whole debate, saying maybe plastic in the environment doesn't get your juices revved up. But hey, ladies, if you're worried about wrinkles, there is a study out there that says using straws can increase the likelihood that you get wrinkles around your face. So just don't use them at all, is basically what they're saying.
Don't use them, biodegradable, or don't use them at all. I have a couple of friends whose moms are like reminding us at our like younger age, like, don't use the straws because if you do this, you pucker too much. I'm like, listen,
I've never heard
I kiss more than I suck on a straw, so like my lips can be whatever. If I'm gonna get wrinkles from that, then so be it, right?
I
like,
love it.
I just can't. But no, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Hey, there's another reason to ditch the straws, I guess, right? Okay, so let's read some more comments because a ton of them are coming in.
Billy is not for this. He says, it's a waste of time and effort. So frustrating when we have more pressing issues in the world. But Billy, this is one of the most pressing issues.
For your kids,
the
your
abundance
grandkids.
of plastic in the ocean and how it affects the ecosystems of the world and how that eventually trickles down literally to you through the water system. And you could drink it.
I think as an abstract, it's a completely valid point. Really, there's so many things that you can see and that you can and know that. But one of the things that was that is being described by proponents of this is that it ends up being a direct cost to you because what the problem is that let's just say it is put in the recycle bin, and so the thought is, okay, I'm not throwing this away; it'll be used somewhere else. The way that these recycling centers are set up, they're having a really difficult time catching these straws, if at all. So it ends up somewhere else, and it ends up being a problem down the road. So you do, even though it doesn't seem like it, perhaps, and this may seem crazy because you may be totally opposed to this politician's point of view for the whole state and where he wants to go with things, but ultimately this thing that you don't like may end up saving you money down the road in a weird roundabout way. And one of the things in Twitter that I thought was interesting, I didn't know this, is someone said, really, tax, went on to all of these other issues, which is, that's fine, because that was their moment to talk to this politician about what they really think. And he said, look, it's like the gas tax. You hate paying it, but everybody uses the roads, and your city's going to get 110% more funding to fix the roads that you drive on. So it's one of these things where I hate paying for something, but you are using that thing.
Right.
I think the overall criticism is, I've already paid, why do I have to pay more? And that's a whole other topic. Why is everything in California so expensive?
No one just wants to pay extra for anything. But in the end, you're right. We will end up paying for the issues that are caused because of these straws. And someone mentioned in here, I can't keep track of where this comment was coming from. Other countries don't use straws. Somehow they survive. It's a culture shock and a culture change. If your whole life you're given a straw and then all of a sudden someone says, you can't have a straw, which isn't what this bill is proposing. If you want a straw, you can ask for it and they can bring you the straw. They're just saying that they don't want surfers out there handing out straws. Because if they're not used, then they're just going to go unused and that's a waste.
It was the same thing with California and the drought. It was a specific thing. You're not getting water unless you ask for it. If you want water, you can get it. But if we don't want to waste it because it's a precious resource.
There is a very funny thing happening in our comments, and it's called the hashtag No Straw Police. And I think Trish Franklin is leading up this organization.
Okay.
Do you and live your best life. I love this idea of not using a straw. I'm going to challenge myself to not use a straw for the rest of the week. But
this one you don't throw away.
That's true. But outside of this, I do wash it. Although there is lipstick today. I did wash it, I swear.
Yeah. This is part of like a sippy cup is what I call it.
Yeah, I thought I was doing my best to
I think you are.
Be good and helpful to the environment. But it is plastic.
But you're never throwing that away. These aren't the throwaway.
Well, what happens? Like in 2 years or 3 years, I'm going to need a new one. And now...
okay, here's a
now I'm concerned.
We've got this cup from Starbucks. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
It's a metal straw. It's one cup.
My
it's
mom
a metal
got me
straw.
4 metal
We've
straws.
probably used this thing a million times.
Yes.
We use it in the dishwasher. It works. So
Love it.
yeah. So
I have
there's
4
nothing wrong
copper
with that.
straws at home. Yes, and it comes with a straw cleaner now, so you can put a
Oh.
little sponge in it. I'm going to
I
start
love
using
that.
it. But you're right with Starbucks. Are they using? I've seen some Starbucks now that I'm thinking about it. My friend Zach's Instagram story. He talks about down in, I think it's Monterey.
Okay.
They use at his Starbucks the biodegradable straws, which
I
get
love
very
it.
soggy very
Right.
quick, which disappoints people. And he's always like, man, he's like, but I
Right.
get it. It's for the environment. I'll just take the lid off and
And
drink
coffee
it.
is the time when you should use a straw.
Cool ice
for your
Because,
teeth?
Yeah,
yes,
for your
it
teeth.
ruins your teeth, and people don't think about what the damage that does to the back of your teeth. So when you're using the straw, you need to put it farther back, is all I'm saying.
Good one. So that's a reason to use a
That-
straw. But
yes.
we're trying to say.
No, you can use straws, just use the paper
Biodegradable.
ones. Use the biodegradable ones.
Okay.
Because
Well,
we also don't want people with yellow teeth running around.
that's true. She has a straw in her
Sorry.
blue cup.
I do. I have a straw, but I
Get
wash
your
it every
big spurs.
day.
Let's throw her in jail. It's not her.
Is this the police? It's the no straw
it's-
police. They're coming for me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Again, it's the classic debate because you can start with this and then go to all the other things that you really want to talk about. So it's a prompt. It's a very
Yes.
classic California story. Here
Yep.
we go again. But if you actually look at it, I think it's a lot less sinister than you think it is.
Right.
It really starts off. I know what the headline says, but it starts off as something much smaller.
And
than
Kimberly
that.
Morgan, it'll be one of those silly laws if passed, if passed, but people don't enforce it. But see, to say it's a silly,
It's not silly. I think it's valid. And
But that's just
I
our
was watching
opinion.
a documentary that CNN put out. Nick Walsh was the journalist. And he said that by 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish.
it's
And
scary.
just think about that. 2050 is not that far away.
Right.
I think I'll be alive.
Our lifetime. For
Yeah,
sure.
that's definitely our
I hope.
lifetime. What is that going to do to our ecosystem? What is it already doing to our ecosystem?
These are conversations you probably
Right.
just had at your conference, right?
ah.
I mean,
Not this specific, but yes, these big abstract things because
Yeah.
it starts off small and it ends up as an aggregate. It ends up being a big thing. So it's like, do you go after the big thing or do you go after the small action? I mean, that's a huge debate.